Their distinctive feature, an artistically bound, colourful turban, which gives them the appearance of a Maharaja, and a beard, which, just like the hidden hair on their heads, must never be cut. And that should provide a clue to their name, Singh. They all have a common surname, Singh, which means lion. If you take a walk through the busy streets of Delhi, you'll meet these lions everywhere. Taxi drivers, riding scooters, policemen, traders, and prosperous businessmen. The streets of this bustling city with its 5 million inhabitants are alive with colourful turbans. And yet, the lions only form a small minority. Only 2% of Indians belong to the Sikh religious community. Recently, extremists in their ranks have been in the headlines by hijacking an aeroplane, with bomb attacks and bloody riots. Their leaders are demanding an independent state. It would seem that a section of the Sikh community is tired of playing the part of a showpiece Indian. As showpiece Indians, they're well known in the world of sport. Not only in polo or hockey, the bearded lions are champions in a whole number of other sports. And unforgotten is their reputation as fearless soldiers. Sikh regiments ranked among the elite troops in the British Indian Army during the 2 World Wars. The Other Indians. A report about the Sikhs. In the Golden Temple of Amritsar, 400 miles northwest of Delhi, is the key to the Sikhs' character and the secret of their success. Here, in the Holy of Holies of the Sikh community, the Granth Sahib is preserved. The temple is almost as old as the religion it embodies. It was built in the 16th century. The gold on the facade originates from the golden age of the Sikhs, approximately 200 years ago. At that time, Maharaja Ranjit Singh reigned over the mighty and invincible Sikh Empire. The Granth Sahib is so holy that no one is allowed to film it. Cameras are forbidden in the temple. However, any pilgrim in the Mecca of the Sikhs will gladly tell you what's written in the book. The Hymns of Nanak, who established the Sikh religion some 500 years ago. Nanak's teachings preach, there are not a multitude of gods, there is but one God, and he is truth. There are no Hindus, there are no Muslims. There are only people who are all equal and all believe in the truth. And the prophet of truth, God's herald, am I, your teacher, your guru. With his teachings, which are similar to Christian doctrine, Guru Nanak discarded the polytheism, the rituals and rigid caste system of the Hindus. In the same way, he rejected the subjugation of women practiced by the Muslims. In spite of this, some Muslim and Hindu beliefs and rites were incorporated into his religion. Their belief, for example, in reincarnation, and in the purifying power of the holy waters and the cremation fire. Guru Nanak's followers called themselves Sikhs, disciples. And another parallel to Christianity. Their holy book teaches equality, brotherly love, and pacifism. Later, the Sikhs did take to arms, though not to win back holy cities, as the Christians did on their crusades, but rather to defend themselves against aggressive demands from other religions. Sikhs are pragmatists. Their faith demands more from them than just going to pray regularly in the temple. It demands a public spirit and action. Amritsar, a place of pilgrimage with more than 500,000 inhabitants, is not only the spiritual but also the political and administrative centre of this religious community. A great many social institutions are financed from the temple donations. Schools, for example, not only for Sikh children, but for all those who have rid themselves of thinking in terms of a caste system. Situated near to the sensitive Pakistan border, the economic development of Amritsar has not been as fast as that of other cities in Punjab. The Sikhs consider that it's entirely due to their efforts that the city has developed into the flourishing city it is today. The 26th of January, Republic Day, the military parade in New Delhi. An atomic power goes on show with artillery, tanks, elephants and camels. And with turbaned soldiers. No outsider knows the exact percentage of Sikhs in the 1 million strong Indian army. The ratio of ethnic or religious groups in the military forces is kept secret. It has won 18 Chapters and 53... Officially, there's only one pure Sikh regiment and a Gurkha regiment, both considered elite troops since the time of British colonial rule. Captain M.S. Mann has won in a short chapter 4 family British Silver medals. But if you try to count the turbans in the mixed regiments, you'll probably soon discover the Sikhs, in fact, make up almost a third of all the troops. India is proud of them. Sikh soldiers and officers were the most courageous fighters in the battles against the Chinese and the Pakistanis. It was a Sikh general, Jagjit Singh Arora, who in 1971 forced the Pakistani army to capitulate in what is now called Bangladesh. With the separatist movement calling for an independent Sikh state, Khalistan, the government in New Delhi is faced with an internal antagonist not to be taken lightly. What position the Sikhs would take in the event of a confrontation with radical fellow believers is a delicate question. Throughout their history, the Sikhs have always had strong ties to the central seat of power in Delhi. For 200 years, the Islamic Mughal emperors ruled from Delhi. Initially, they tolerated the Sikh religion. However, later, they cruelly persecuted them with Muslim fanaticism. Today, more Sikhs live in the Indian capital than in any other city in the world, over 300,000. One of their most prominent representatives is the editor of the third biggest daily newspaper, the Hindustan Times, Khushwant Singh, author and member of Rajya Sabha, the Indian upper house. How would he characterize his religious brothers?
I think it can only be described as the spirit of one-upmanship. Anything any other people can do, they feel they can do better. So you will see them all over this country doing different kinds of jobs, driving taxis somewhere, engineers somewhere else, artists, professors, just about every profession they turn their hand on, they have succeeded in remarkably well. The spirit of one-upmanship is, as they describe in their own language, Chardi Kala, never to get defeated on any score anywhere. And that really explains why they are what they are today. Go-ahead, progressive, rich and well-to-do extrovert community, and certainly the most colorful that you will see anywhere in the world.
Chardi Kala, always being up front. This was also true for the Sikhs in the Indian Army expedition to Mount Everest in 1965. 9 men reached the top, 5 of them Sikhs. Among them was a young Captain Ahluwalia. After conquering the highest peak in the world, Ahluwalia wanted to take part in the victory over Pakistan, at the front, of course. He reported to the front, was injured in the spine by a piece of shrapnel, and has been confined to his wheelchair ever since. His spirit of adventure, however, wasn't daunted by his war injury. He became active president of the Indian Mountaineering Club and began to write books about the Himalayas. And lately, he started a farm outside Delhi, cultivating vegetables for his family and friends, and later, for the market. Chardikana. A Sikh doesn't give up easily. Harnam Singh isn't one of those who've achieved fame or great riches, but he is a typical Sikh. During the Second World War, he worked for the Americans on the Air Force Base at Karachi. In 1947, when the subcontinent was divided up between the Hindus and the Muslims into India and Pakistan, he fared no better than 2.5 million other Sikhs and was forced to leave his homeland. Beginning again in India was for him not so difficult as it was for the Hindu refugees. Sikhs are able to do any sort of work because there are no caste restrictions as far as jobs are concerned. A great many Sikhs in the cities at that time became taxi, bus or lorry drivers. For 30 years now, Harnam Singh has been shuttling back and forth between Old and New Delhi with his rickshaw. The start of lessons in Harkrishnan Public School in Delhi. The gong summons 1,700 small lions to prayers. The Sikhs began to establish their own schools over 100 years ago. They regard education as a fundamental prerequisite in enabling them to preserve their independence against the all-powerful Hinduism. Mrs. Chola, who runs the strictly organized school. Sikh women are no less efficient than the men, perhaps just less conspicuous. They don't wear turbans. But despite the lack of this attribute, they're regarded as equal to the men. The founder of the religion, Nanak, forbade his disciples to discriminate against women. Sikh schools are open to anyone who respects the religion. Hindus, Muslims and Christians are to be found among the pupils and teachers. Places at the school are always in great demand, but only 10% of those who apply are accepted. India's thirst is quenched by Charanjit Singh, the Coca-Cola lion. He's one of the wealthiest men in the country and is currently involved in another 5-star hotel project in Delhi. Charanjit had had the Coca-Cola license for India for over 20 years. Then Desai came to power, an ascetic who caused a stir by recommending people should drink their own urine as a thirst quencher. Under the pretext of saving foreign currency, the license was revoked and Coca-Cola production brought to a standstill. But Charanjit Singh wasn't to be defeated so easily. He went on to develop a new drink, Kampa Cola, which in the meantime has become very popular and is even being exported. At the new hotel, work goes on 24 hours a day. It's supposed to open in the autumn, like a great many other buildings in Delhi, in time for this year's Asian Games. By the way, the Games are also mainly a Sikh affair. The head of the organising committee and the majority of the Indian team are Sikhs. Western visitors may find the building methods a little archaic, but they do produce splendid buildings. Something of the progressive spirit of the Sikhs is reflected in the concrete facades of the university city Chandigarh. Built just 30 years ago, the monumental buildings designed by the Swiss architect Le Corbusier have made it world famous. Chandigarh is the capital of Punjab, which was allocated to the Sikhs in 1967, a kind of belated compensation for the expulsion and massacres which they suffered after India and Pakistan were established. 80% of all Sikhs live in Punjab. Their percentage of the population has, however, decreased from year to year. Today, they're again a minority. Due to the influx of Hindus into the economically flourishing Punjab, many Sikhs feel they're being cheated out of what they have worked for, a further strain on the tension prevailing between the two religions. Punjab, the land of the 5 rivers. Vast, fertile plains in the northwest of the subcontinent. Since the dawn of history, this land has been continually plundered by conquerors, the Mongols, Persians and Afghans. Again and again, it's been the scene of bloody conflicts between Islam and Hinduism. It's hardly any wonder that Guru Nanak found so many followers amongst Punjabi farmers as he travelled around preaching brotherly love, pacifism and the abolition of the caste society. Community life in the villages today still bears the imprint of Nanak's teachings. In the meantime, mechanization is taking over, even in remote corners of the idyllic Punjabi countryside. Whereas a year ago, a team of oxen was still turning this sugar press, the work's now done by a diesel engine. The chronic lack of fuel here has always forced people to preserve what energy was available, and necessity is the mother of invention. The pressed sugar cane, dried in the sun, serves as a fuel to heat the sugar vats. Even the idea of irrigating the fields is said to come from Nanak, the founder of the new religion. Nanak, it said, met a Hindu pilgrim who was casting water towards the rising sun as a ritual offering. Nanak also took a handful of water and cast it in the opposite direction, saying to the astonished Hindu, "If you can send water to your dead in heaven, then I can send water to my fields in Punjab." Nanak's disciples followed his example, and with the help of intensive irrigation, transformed Punjab into India's granary. In the 1960s, the Sikh farmers accomplished the Green Revolution, doubling their cereal production within a few years. Besides the extensive state canal network in Punjab, which was started under British rule, more and more smaller farm irrigation systems have been laid out with deep wells and motor pumps. Be increased if new land can be claimed, involving considerable capital investment and the use of heavy machinery. The Sikhs have given up waiting for help from the central government and are going ahead on their own initiative. Technology is their first love, and tractors their pride and joy. A third of the tractors in India are found today in the fields of Punjab. Cattle and pig breeding are also taboo for Sikhs out of respect for their Hindu and Muslim neighbours. Chicken farms have become popular though. Farming is becoming more attractive. A good many Sikh soldiers have left the Indian army, a bad paymaster, and become farmers.
We are farming and farming and farming, and not a tree, not a blade of grass will grow in our way. There are soils in the Punjab.
Not every soil is ideal for cultivating corn, says Kishi Singh. He left a good job in Canada to return to his home country and make a dream come true. The dream of reintroducing timber production to Punjab.
Agriculture. This means that I had to start from scratch. I had to get seed. 200
years ago, forests stretched as far as the eye could see. Today, only a few trees here and there are left. Only the fastest growing trees can be considered for reforestation, and that means eucalyptus. Kishi began cultivating the seeds 3 months ago, and the first 70,000 seedlings are already out of their hotbeds. Everyone is placed in a plastic bag. An undertaking on this scale requires considerable capital, as it'll be some years before the first rupees start to flow back. But Kishi knows that this investment in the future will prove profitable in the long run. Timber is in short supply all over India. Labour is easy to obtain, and he brought back the necessary know-how from the West. Next year, or the year after, Kishi is going to build a house here and wait for his eucalyptus trees to grow 20 meters high. March, the most pleasant month in Punjab. The cold period is over, the great heat still to come. The corn is ripening. In a few weeks it'll be ready for harvesting. Time for the farmers to take a break. Time to celebrate weddings and traditional festivals. Every year, just before the March full moon, there are stirrings in Punjab. All the Sikh farmers set off for Anandpur Sahib. Every Sikh shall come to me in Anandpur on the first day of Baisakhi, with his hair uncut, and be baptized with the sword. This was the message sent by the 10th Sikh Guru, Gobind, to all his followers in the year 1699. And tens of thousands followed the call to the little village at the foot of the Himalayas. Today, there are more than 600,000. The reason for the pilgrimage today is to celebrate the sword, the irrevocable renunciation of Nanak's command of pacifism. What had happened at that time, the end of the 17th century? In 1675, on the orders of the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, a fanatical Muslim, the 9th Sikh Guru, Tegh Bahadur, was executed in Delhi. His head was sent to Anandpur to his 9-year-old son and successor, Gobind. Years later, having overcome his grief, Gobind sent a reply to the Mughal ruler, a declaration of war. For 3 days, this turning point in Sikh history is celebrated by the thousands of pilgrims in the temple citadel of Anandpur. At the same time, another reform is celebrated. Guru Gobind declared himself to be the last Sikh Guru. After his death, the institution of the Guru, a kind of Pope of the Sikhs, would be replaced by the Granth Sahib, the Holy Book. To observe this special feast day, the Sikhs come here not only from Punjab, but also from Delhi and remote provinces. For 3 days, there's a continuous queue of people crowding into the inner temple. Gurdwara is the name of every Sikh temple, the gateway to the Guru. Since there are no more Gurus, the main part of every Sikh service consists of prayers before the Holy Book. It's said that the original book is the one in the Golden Temple of Amritsar, but every Gurdwara has a splendid copy. The festival reaches its climax when, in a solemn ceremony, the throng of pilgrims is shown the weapons with which Guru Gobind defended their faith. When all other means fail, it is rightful to draw the sword, he's said to have written in his challenge to the Mughal emperor. Now the sparrow will learn to hunt the hawk, and one man will learn to fight an army. Today's farmers listen enraptured to the life story of Guru Gobind, the founder of the Khalsa, the Brotherhood of the Pure. Even today, every Khalsa Sikh receives baptism with the sword. He must take an oath to observe the 5 Ks. Kesa, uncut hair and beard. Kanga, always to carry a comb. Kacha, to wear short underpants. Kara, to wear a steel bracelet on his right arm. And Kirpan, always to carry a sword with him. After taking the oath, the baptized Sikh receives the name of Singh. From now on, he's a lion. Even the Khalsa Sikhs have taken over some things from the Hindus. The prasad, for example, a sweet dish made of wheat flour, sugar and ghee, clarified butter. In a ritual, prasad is distributed to the believers, who first formally offer it to their god, but then, very sensibly, eat it themselves. And in this way, several tons of the sweet ambrosia land in the pilgrims' stomachs. In every Gurdwara, and here it differs from other churches or temples, you'll find a kitchen and accommodation. During the 3 days of celebration, all the visitors to the temple, even those of other religions and the wealthy, are offered food and lodging free of charge. A hospitality that's made possible thanks to private donations and voluntary service. The Sikhs are especially proud of this aspect of their temple. One reason, perhaps, why you never see a Sikh begging. The Gurdwara doesn't just provide spiritual nourishment. Nowhere in the world will you find a great religious festival where only the gods are commemorated. Fun fairs and fairgrounds are an essential part of the proceedings, in Anandpur as well. Those of the 5 Ks which can be bought are on offer in abundance at the fairground. Every possible kind of sword, bracelet, comb and underpants. And jewellery, so that the women don't go empty-handed. Not forgetting, of course, the holy pictures of the Sikh gurus in all shapes and sizes. One thing is missing, a cigarette kiosk. Gobind insisted on abstinence from the pleasures of tobacco. The annual festival at Anandpur could probably be described as the world's greatest non-smokers festival. Sword dances, mock fights, warlike gestures. They're all part of the fairground. Where else are the Sikhs to draw their swords, if not here, where their militant tradition had its origins? Merely a book as a substitute for a guru wouldn't have been enough to preserve the faith, say Sikh historians. Gobind had to offer his followers more, a warlike atmosphere and the chance of military action. The sound of battle was heard more than once after the Khalsa was founded. 100 years after Gobind's violent death, the Lions, under the leadership of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, had established a powerful Sikh empire. Even the British invaders suffered heavy losses. As long as Ranjit Singh was in power, they were kept at bay. The sabre rattling in Anandpur is a reminder of the glorious battles of the past. The question is, what part does the obligatory sword have to play in everyday life? It's a bit of a hindrance at a desk or on a tractor, but the Sikh is always supposed to carry it, otherwise he's no longer a true lion. The answer's simple. The sword was reduced in size so that it could be hidden in the knot of hair under his turban or on his coat. The large sword decorates a wall and is used at most only for an exhibition of fighting. Progress versus tradition, a dilemma that will become more and more of a problem for the Sikhs in the future. Except for a small minority, the Nihangs, who have their own camp in Anandpur. For them, time has virtually stood still since the 18th century. Progress is almost non-existent. The warlike impression isn't just for show, it's a regular feature of their lives. The Sikhs from the city only have a smile for the Nihangs, but the Nihangs consider themselves to be the true sons of the last guru. The word Nihang is of Persian origin and means crocodile, a name that warriors who fear neither death nor the devil have been called since time immemorial. Their heyday was during the time of the leader Ranjit Singh and his undefeated army. The Nihang's camp gives the impression that at any moment they might jump on their horses and be off to do battle against the Pathans, Afghans or the British. The ordinary Sikh has made a cult out of his turban. The Nihang has taken it to the extreme. The Nihang's eccentricity is perhaps due to the fact that they've remained faithful to bhang. Bhang is a fairly mild hashish concoction brewed from hemp leaves, which grow in profusion on every roadside. The Nihangs used to drink the juice to pep them up before doing battle. The Nihangs consider themselves to be warriors, which is why they have no interest in taking on a steady job. However, they also don't beg. They levy taxes, just as they did 200 years ago when they demanded tributes from the farmers for protecting them from pillagers and plunderers. Unkind tongues, however, maintain they're nothing but lazy farmers, or else men with nagging wives, who've joined the warrior clan for just these reasons. The free meal from the kitchen of the Guru is served on one of the temple terraces. It has a deeper significance than merely to fill the pilgrims' stomachs. It is at the same time a typical Sikh ritual. Before you see the Guru, sit down with all the others in a row in the kitchen. A command issued by one of the earliest Gurus, and just as relevant even today. The free food in the temple forces everyone to sit in a row, together, on one level, making any thought of caste differences impossible. For Hindus, an unthinkable situation. Even the shadow of an untouchable would render the Brahmins' food unclean. But it's not only the abolition of the caste system which enables the Sikh to be always up front, always on top. They have freed themselves of the lethargy and fatalism of the Hindus. Their gurus taught them to take fate into their own hands. They've shown that they're able to do so, not least in their friendly coexistence with the religious beliefs of the majority of Indians. It's not the first time that the flag of the separatist Sikh state Khalistan has flown over Anandpur. Today, the radical minority among the lions is determined to take fate into its own hands again, if need be, in the face of this majority.
Go!